These are the faces of A Different World, set at the fictitious Hillman College. For 6 seasons, the sitcom showcased the vibrant life at HBCU.
A Different World may have started as a simple spin-off of The Cosby Show, but what happened behind the scenes was far more dramatic than anyone expected. Beneath the comedy and life lessons were real conflicts, bold decisions, and moments that reshaped the show and television history itself. Why did its biggest star disappear after just 1 season? How did one major change completely transform the series? Join us as we step behind the scenes to uncover the untold stories of the sitcom that changed TV forever. The show was never supposed to be about Denise Huxtable. When executives at NBC first conceived A Different World, they had a completely different vision in mind, and it had nothing to do with the Huxtable family at all. The original concept was bold and unprecedented for its time, focusing on the experience of a white student at a historically black college. The show was supposed to explore what it would be like for a white girl navigating life in predominantly black surroundings, and producers even had their star lined up for the role. Television legend Jay Sandrich, who directed the pilot episode and had won 4 Emmy Awards for his work on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and The Cosby Show, revealed in a 2001 interview that producers initially wanted Meg Ryan to play the lead character, Maggie Lawton. The show was built around the premise that this white student would attend Hillman College because legendary actress and singer Lena Horne was teaching an acting class there, and that Denise Huxtable would be merely her roommate and a supporting character in someone else's story. However, fate intervened when Ryan's agents decided that after her appearance in the 1986 blockbuster Top Gun, she should focus on building a film career instead of committing to television. Ryan's decision to pursue movies turned out to be the right call for her, as she went on to become one of Hollywood's biggest romantic comedy stars, but it completely changed the trajectory of A Different World. Without their intended star, producers scrambled to recast the role and eventually brought in a young actress named Marisa Tomei to play Maggie, though by then the concept had shifted to center more on Denise's college experience instead. But even with this major change, the show still struggled to find its identity, and more dramatic transformations were just around the corner. Lisa Bonet was fired over her pregnancy. Lisa Bonet's sudden departure from A Different World, after just 1 season, shocked viewers and became one of the most controversial decisions in television history. The official story was vague, but the truth about why she left reveals a troubling clash between creative vision and personal life. In November 1987, just as the show was finding its footing, Bonet married rock musician Lenny Kravitz on her 20th birthday, and soon after, she discovered she was pregnant with their first child. When Bonet realized she needed to tell someone about her pregnancy, she confided in Debbie Allen, who had just joined the show as a producer for the 2nd season. Allen was excited about the possibility of incorporating the pregnancy into the storyline, seeing it as an opportunity to tell an important story about a young, educated black woman choosing to raise a child on her own. Allen accompanied Bonet to meet with Bill Cosby, who was the show's creator and executive producer, hoping to convince him that this could be groundbreaking television. The meeting did not go as Allen had hoped, and Cosby's response was fast and uncompromising. According to Allen's account in a 2015 interview, Cosby listened to their pitch and then firmly rejected it. His exact words, as Allen recalled, were, Lisa Bonet is pregnant, but Denise Huxtable is not. Cosby believed that viewers who had known Denise as a good girl throughout 4 seasons of The Cosby Show would never accept her as an unwed mother, and he refused to allow the pregnancy to be written into the show, despite Allen's passionate arguments. Instead of keeping Bonet on a different world and hiding her pregnancy, Cosby decided to pull her from the spin-off entirely and bring her back to The Cosby Show, where her pregnancy could be concealed through camera angles, loose clothing, and strategic placement of furniture and props. Bonet gave birth to her daughter, actress Zoe Kravitz, in December 1988, but the incident had permanently damaged her relationship with Cosby. Lenny Kravitz later wrote in his memoir that Bonet's relationship with Bill was tense and ultimately untenable after he fired her from a different world. Though she returned to The Cosby Show for a time, she left that series as well in 1991, citing creative differences. While Bonet's departure seemed poised to doom the show, it actually opened the door for other cast members to shine in ways no one expected. Marisa Tomei was fired because of an executive's racism. Marisa Tomei, who would go on to win an Academy Award for her role in My Cousin Vinny, spent only 1 season on a different world before disappearing without explanation, and for years, fans wondered what happened to Maggie Lawton. The truth about Tomei's departure reveals an ugly side of television production and demonstrates how prejudice behind the scenes can derail even the most talented performers. When Tomei spoke about her time on the show years later, she admitted on Watch What Happens Live in 2014 that she had been fired, though she harbored no hard feelings about it. Debbie Allen, who took over as the show's chief creative force in Season 2, had ambitious plans for Tomei's character and saw enormous potential in exploring Maggie's experiences as one of the few white students at Hillman. Allen herself had attended Howard University, where she remembered white students on campus, and she wanted to tell authentic stories about interracial friendships and the complex dynamics of race relations on an HBCU campus. One storyline Allen particularly wanted to explore involved a romantic relationship between Maggie and Dwayne Wayne, which would have tackled interracial dating head-on. During a 2006 Television Critics Association panel, Allen finally revealed what really happened and why Tomei's character disappeared. When Allen pitched her ideas for Maggie to network executives, one executive became so opposed to the concept of showing an interracial relationship that he essentially forced Tomei off the show. Allen wanted to keep Tomei and continue developing her character, but the network rejected these storylines and made the decision to release Tomei from her contract, replacing her with new characters played by Cree Summer and Charnel Brown. Despite the abrupt and unfair end to her time on A Different World, Tomei maintained a close friendship with Lisa Bonet that has lasted for decades, and Tomei is even godmother to all 3 of Bonet's children, including Zoe Kravitz. The show's loss became Hollywood's gain when Tomei went on to build a remarkable film career, but it's impossible not to wonder what groundbreaking television moments were lost because of one executive's narrow-mindedness. Meanwhile, another cast member was about to join the show through circumstances that were almost too bizarre to believe. Sinbad lied about his experience and almost lost the role. When comedian Sinbad joined A Different World in Season 2 as Coach Walter Oakes, he brought an infectious energy and improvisational talent that made him a fan favorite. But his path to the show involved a massive lie that nearly cost him everything. For years, Sinbad kept this secret from his castmates until finally revealing the truth during a reunion special. And his confession left everyone shocked at how close they came to never working with him at all. Sinbad explained that he first heard about a different world when producers were looking for someone to warm up the studio audience before filming, a job that involves keeping the crowd entertained and energized between takes. Despite having absolutely no experience as a warm-up comedian and not even knowing what the job entailed, Sinbad decided to audition anyway. During the audition, he confidently claimed to have warmed up audiences for numerous television shows, lying his way through the interview with complete conviction. Everything was going smoothly until Sinbad made a critical mistake that exposed his deception. When asked which shows he had worked on, he claimed to have been the warm-up comedian for Magnum P.I., and as soon as those words left his mouth, he knew he had blown it. As his castmate Jasmine Guy later pointed out during the reunion, Magnum P.I. was a drama filmed on location in Hawaii with no studio audience, which meant there was no warm-up comedian needed at all. The casting agents immediately realized Sinbad had been lying, and they wanted nothing to do with him. Fortunately for Sinbad and for the show, Bill Cosby had seen something special in the young comedian during his audition, and Cosby intervened on his behalf. Cosby insisted that Sinbad belonged on television and offered him the stand-up role anyway, along with a guest spot on The Cosby Show. That guest appearance impressed producers enough that they cast him in a different world, where he became one of the show's most beloved characters. Sinbad stayed with the show from 1988 until 1991, bringing his unique brand of clean, observational comedy to coach Walter Oakes and helping to define the series during its most successful years. But while Sinbad was finding success on the show, another cast member was secretly falling in love with someone viewers never would have suspected. Kadeem Hardison and Cree Summer had a secret romance. For 6 seasons, viewers watched the on-again, off-again romance between Dwayne Wayne and Whitley Gilbert unfold on screen, and fans rooted for them to finally get together and live happily ever after. What most people never knew, however, was that Kadeem Hardison was actually in love with a completely different cast member, and their secret relationship remained hidden from the public for years. The real-life romance that developed behind the scenes was just as compelling as anything written in the scripts, and it changed the dynamic between cast members in ways that viewers could never have imagined. In a 2021 oral history published by Vanity Fair, Hardison and Cree Summer, who played the free-spirited activist Freddie Brooks, finally opened up about their relationship and revealed how it all began. The two actors had been close friends for several years before anything romantic happened between them, bonding over their shared love of motorcycles and spending time together off-set. Then one day, during a motorcycle ride, Summer suddenly pulled over and made a confession that took Hardison completely by surprise. According to Hardison's account, Summer looked at him and said directly, "I love you. I think I'm in love with you." Hardison was stunned by this revelation and didn't know how to respond at first. But after thinking about it, he realized that his best friend might also be the person he should be with romantically. The two began dating, and their relationship continued throughout their time on the show, though they managed to keep it remarkably private, considering they worked together every day on a soundstage filled with cast, crew, and audience members. The situation became particularly complicated for Hardison because while he was falling in love with Summer in real life, His job required him to portray a man desperately in love with Jasmine Guy's Whitley Gilbert. As Hardison explained on TV One's Uncensored, "I had to pretend to be in love with Jasmine while being in love with Cree. This meant that some of the most romantic and emotionally charged scenes between Dwayne and Whitley were performed by an actor whose heart belonged to someone else entirely, which makes those performances all the more impressive." For her part, Summer described Hardison as a great boyfriend and called him the blueprint for what a first love should be, praising his kindness, generosity, thoughtfulness, and sense of humor. Though the relationship eventually ended and both have moved on to other partnerships, they remain close friends to this day and speak fondly of the time they spent together. Their romance remains one of the show's best-kept secrets and adds another layer of complexity to the already intricate relationships between the cast members. Speaking of complicated relationships, Kadeem Hardison also harbored feelings for another cast member that influenced his performance in unexpected ways. Kadeem Hardison had a secret crush on Jasmine Guy. While Kadeem Hardison and Cree Summers' romance was the real relationship that developed behind the scenes, Hardison's journey to finding chemistry with Jasmine Guy for the cameras was far more complicated than viewers ever realized. The irony of the situation was that Hardison actually did have romantic feelings for Guy when they first met, but those feelings created problems rather than helping with their on-screen romance. The story of how they finally developed the chemistry that made Dwayne and Whitley one of television's most beloved couples involves awkwardness, age gaps, and a crucial acting exercise that changed everything. During a 2018 appearance on The Real, Hardison candidly admitted, "I can admit easily that I had a crush on Jasmine the minute I saw her. The attraction began even before they worked together on A Different World, when both actors were cast in Spike Lee's 1988 film School Days. At a party on that film's found set, Hardison and Guy ended up dancing together to a slow song, and Hardison was so smitten that he secretly asked co-star Branford Marsalis to play the song again so they could keep dancing. However, Guy was not interested in pursuing anything romantic with Hardison, and she had a very practical reason. As Guy explained during that same appearance on The Real, she was about 24 years old at the time, while Hardison was only around 20, and the age difference felt significant to her. "I wasn't really doing that at 24, Guy said, explaining that she was looking for someone closer to 28 years old. Hardison jokingly acknowledged that she was way out of my league right there. This unrequited crush created an unexpected problem when they needed to portray a believable romance on A Different World. Instead of helping their chemistry, Hardison's real feelings made him overly cautious about coming across as too aggressive, and he struggled to find the right balance in their scenes together. During one particular scene, where Dwayne was supposed to be pursuing Whitley romantically, Hardison kept nervously eating ice cream instead of engaging with Guy, unable to break through his own discomfort. Finally, Guy confronted him directly, saying, "When I walk into the room, you'd better look at me." She recognized that they needed to build their on-screen chemistry up to feel like reality, so she asked Hardison a crucial question. "Do you know the term tension?" When Hardison admitted he didn't, Guy suggested they flip their approach. "Let's flip it. I'll be you and you be me," she told him. And having Guy demonstrate what she needed from him finally made everything click. As Hardison later recalled, "And then it clicked. It was never the same after that. From that moment forward, the chemistry between Dwayne and Whitley became one of the show's greatest strengths, and their eventual wedding became one of the most memorable moments in sitcom history. The iconic wedding scene was filmed in just one take. The wedding episode in which Dwayne Wayne crashes Whitley Gilbert's ceremony to another man has become one of the most celebrated moments in television history. But what most fans don't know is how terrifyingly unprepared Kadeem Hardison felt going into that scene, and how his panic made the moment even more authentic and powerful. 30 years after the episode aired, Hardison and Guy appeared on The Breakfast Club to share the truth about filming what would become an iconic television moment, and their revelations show just how close they came to disaster. Hardison explained that when he first read the script 2 weeks before filming, he was deeply skeptical about the entire premise. "We have done so many real things on the show, so many things that felt real, from AIDS and apartheid and all of that. And for me to crash this wedding, as this felt like a complete leap, it didn't make any sense," Hardison said. For 2 weeks, he struggled to find a way to make the scene work and to commit to the words he would have to say, because Kadeem doesn't believe it. As the filming date approached, Hardison's anxiety grew worse rather than better, and by the time they were ready to shoot the scene in front of a live studio audience, he was genuinely panicking. "I was so nervous about if I don't get it right the first time, it's going to degrade. It's going to get worse because I am really having a hard time committing to all of these words," Hardison confessed. He felt like he was drowning during the scene and ended up improvising and adding ad-libs just to get through it. What Hardison didn't realize at the time was that his genuine nervousness and struggle to get through the moment actually made the scene more powerful and believable. Guy revealed during the interview that the version viewers saw at home was the first and only take in front of that audience, and the audience lost it. The studio audience's authentic emotional reaction to Dwayne's desperate confession of love captured exactly the kind of raw, unscripted moment that makes television magic. And it could only happen once. The wedding episode aired on May 21, 1992, and millions of viewers tuned in to watch Dwayne finally claim his true love, cementing the episode as one of the greatest wedding scenes in television history. The fact that it all happened in just one take, with Hardison barely holding himself together and the audience experiencing it for the first time along with everyone else, makes the achievement even more remarkable. While Dwayne and Whitley's romance provided heartwarming moments, another on-screen relationship created tension that nobody wanted. Don Lewis and Sinbad fought to avoid a romantic storyline. When Dawn Lewis joined the cast as Jaleesa Vinson, an older divorced student returning to college to rebuild her life, she quickly developed a wonderful on-screen chemistry with Sinbad's character, Coach Walter Oakes. Their friendship was natural and funny, with a playful banter that audiences loved. But when writers noticed how well they worked together, they made a decision that neither actor wanted. The battle that Lewis and Sinbad fought behind the scenes to protect their characters' relationship reveals how much the cast cared about the integrity of the show, and how sometimes actors know their characters better than the writers do. As Lewis explained in the 2021 Vanity Fair oral history, she and Sinbad had this really great friendship and chemistry that translated beautifully on screen. We bounce well off of each other, so when the writers saw that, they started putting it into the script. At first, this seemed like a positive development, as the two actors enjoyed working together and their scenes were consistently among the show's funniest moments. However, the writers gradually began steering Walter and Jaleesa toward a romantic relationship and both Lewis and Sinbad watched with growing concern as we were having less fun and more dates, and all the great storylines were going to the other characters. The two actors realized they had to take action before the writers completely changed the nature of their characters' relationship. So they confronted each other and asked, "Wait a minute, what is happening here?" Lewis and Sinbad then made a conscious effort to sabotage the romantic storyline, deliberately playing scenes in ways that undermined the romantic tension and emphasized the friendship instead. Their efforts worked to some degree, and when writers finally scripted a wedding episode where Walter and Jaleesa were supposed to get married, the characters decided against it at the altar. When they wrote the episode of us not getting married, we were like, "Phew, we dodged a bullet," Lewis recalled with obvious relief. However, their victory was short-lived, because the writers then decided that Jaleesa should marry Colonel Bradford Taylor instead, another faculty member played by Glynn Turman. Lewis was devastated by this development and remembered thinking, "Wait, stop it right now. What is happening?" She felt that forcing Jaleesa into a romantic relationship, particularly with a much older character, betrayed the essence of who Jaleesa was supposed to be, as an independent woman rebuilding her life on her own terms. The struggle between the actors and the writers over these romantic storylines demonstrates that even on a show as beloved as A Different World, creative disagreements happened regularly, and the actors sometimes had to fight to keep their characters true to the original vision. Debbie Allen transformed the show from disaster to cultural phenomenon. When Debbie Allen took over as producer and director of A Different World after its rocky first season, the show was on the verge of cancellation despite its connection to The Cosby Show, and critics had dismissed it as bland, mediocre, and uninspired. What Allen accomplished in transforming the series from a failing spin-off into a cultural phenomenon that inspired an entire generation represents one of the greatest creative turnarounds in television history. The Hollywood Reporter later stated that Allen transformed A Different World from a bland Cosby spin-off into a lively, socially responsible ensemble situation comedy, and her impact on the show cannot be overstated. Allen, who had graduated from Howard University, brought her personal experience at a historically black college to every aspect of the show's production. She completely overhauled the series to more accurately reflect the realities of HBCU life, from the way students dressed and spoke to the political and social issues they cared about. One of Allen's most important innovations was instituting an annual field trip where she took the entire writing staff to visit 3 of the nation's leading historically black colleges: Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, and Spelman. During these visits, which happened every spring, writers met with students and faculty to discuss current issues facing young black Americans, and many of the show's best episodes emerged directly from these conversations. Beyond just making the show more authentic, Allen also transformed it into a platform for addressing serious issues that The Cosby Show typically avoided, including race relations, class divides, sexual assault, police brutality, and HIV/AIDS. One groundbreaking episode that aired in 1990 was among the first American network television episodes to address the HIV/AIDS epidemic, tackling the subject with sensitivity and educational value, while still maintaining the show's warmth and humor. Another powerful 2-part episode directed by Allen depicted Dwayne and Whitley's honeymoon in Los Angeles, coinciding with the 1992 riots following the Rodney King verdict, forcing the newlyweds to confront the reality of racial injustice while trapped in a city consumed by fires and violence. The results of Alan's creative vision were extraordinary and far-reaching. African-American youth who watched the show often cited as a defining factor in their decision to attend a historically black college or university, and enrollment at HBCUs increased by 25% during the show's run. After Alan took over, A Different World consistently ranked in the top 5 programs on television for several seasons, and the show that had been dismissed as a greedy cash grab became a beloved and important piece of black television history. Alan's influence extended to every aspect of production, and she even made guest appearances on the show as Whitley's psychiatrist in later seasons. Her sister, Felicia Rashad, who played Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show, also appeared in several episodes as Hillman alumna and Denise's mother. The family connection added another layer to the Cosby Show universe, but it was Alan's vision and determination that truly saved A Different World and turned it into something special. Which of these behind-the-scenes revelations surprised you the most? Did learning about the cast's real relationships change how you view their on-screen chemistry? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.